Hello, today's video, my name is Charles, first off, and today's video is going to be about being total or being totally focused. So if we imagine focus, there's two ways to visualize it. And first way to visualize it will be, I'm going to use orange dots. And so if you imagine like here is your attention, right? Or if you imagine your attention as like a gauge. So here is your attention. Here's all your CPU processing units. That is like your attention. And so what you have to realize is like this attention or like essentially focus. For some people it's like 20% on this, 20% on that, 20% on this, 20% on that. Some people it's like 40%, 20, 40, and then like another 40, and it's split like it's concurrently running tasks, or at least feels that way. But in reality, what's happening, if you actually like attend to present moment experience, is your attention is going here, and it's going here, and it's hopping from thing to thing. And then what you realize is you're like, oh, I starting here wanted to get to task A. I wanted to go straight from my starting point to task A. But then what ended up happening was I went, here, 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 here. And so it got like derailed because the attention wasn't centered. And the techniques, so I mean, we all kind of know this feeling of like being distracted or not having the centered focus. And so, two ways to visualize how to get focused or how to stay focused, kind of that journey of like being centered and being, total, as it were. So, the goal is to be total. So, whatever you are doing, you're doing wholly. You're doing the full self you. You are giving all of yourself to it. There's a great Alan Wallace quote that goes like, um, if something is worth doing, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing well, and if it's not worth doing, it's not worth doing at all. And so, that's kind of like the go big or go home. It's those kind of mentalities because you won't succeed. Like if you don't give your all to it and then you don't succeed, it just leads to self-blame. And I don't know, you want to do your best to leave generally people when they behave in the world or perform action, they want to achieve some degree of success with it. And so how this works, the kind of practice, is essentially your mind is here and you want to get from here, let's say task, from point A to B, basically the route you do it, and I'm going to use a different color here, is you're going along the journey, purple's your attention, you're going along the journey, and what will happen is you get a little distracted, right? You steer off course. Then what you do is you try to return your attention to present moment experience, get back to the blue. Now you're focused on the task again. And what'll happen is as you train your brain or your mind, like your attention, to return, the next time you won't be as distracted as long. So be slightly less, and then you return. And then you're going along the journey, and something pops up. Oh, now slightly distracted. Whoop, we return it. And as you continue the practice, the time in which it takes to return to the object or thing of attention, right, that focal point that you want to center on, gets less and less. So for another analogy, imagine like a conversation, right? Here's person one, and here is person two. Now, sometimes how it works is you'll have one person say one thing, and then another person say another thing, and it's not like as related. And then one person says one thing, and another person says another thing. And in this example, what ends up happening is you get person one going this way, and you get person two going that way. And that's when you get like the arguments, lack of understanding, etc., because the person is not wholly giving themselves to you. The listening party is not fully giving themselves to you, and the person who's paying attention or speaking is not, attending to you in that situation. So the way you avoid that, the way you keep, in communication or in conversation, is person one will say something, right? And then person two is actually going to essentially stay focused and reflect back what person one said. So now they're on the same page. Then person one says maybe two things. And person two, what do? They say, they reflect back and then maybe they add a question. And now person one says something else. And what you end up having with this, when you're staying like present and attentive, is here's how the graph of like the attention would go. You'll have person one going this way, and because you're essentially in the same direction, person two is now following the same trail of thought. And you guys can explore this train of thought and emotion right together. Person one and person two will essentially be on the same page, following that same train of thought. So in communication with like a partner, with a friend, with, a business, a relationship, in all aspects of life, if you can follow, if you have a continuity, across the stream of time, you continue the attention, then naturally you'll see, the if you're committed to the process of keeping your attention focused, then naturally the end destination, whatever that result you wanted or success means to you in that moment, is achieved. So both in task oriented things, when you want to get from A to B, like this example, task, and then even in warm, conversation or company, in like conversation, you want to, or presence, you basically want to be total. So in both cases, the goal is to be total, because if you are fully there on your tasks or you are fully there on your conversation, then all of you is there. And then at that point, you're doing the way that'll remove both self-pity and arrogance. Because, and the reason being is because if you are total in a moment, you'll be able to do what your max capacity is, and if you cannot do, then that is just the nature of the situation, right? That is how you are, so to speak. So to give an example of this, if right, like if you and generally if you're able to keep your attention long enough on a given thing over a long enough time horizon, you will achieve any goal. As long as, provided the circumstances and necessary conditions, right? You have a lukewarm intelligence, so to speak. Anyone with a laser attention, or laser-like attention, the universe generally yields to. You just have to be able to hold your focus for a sustained amount of time on a certain task or thing. And so hopefully these practices help you. One technique you could use if you're like in terms of like, hey, well, how in behavior do I do this? Like, what does this actually look like? You basically sit in a comfortable position. Maybe you watch your stomach, or you watch the breathing here, or you watch the breathing at the aperture of your nostrils. And as the in and out, inhalation and exhalation occurs, you return every time you'll try to attend to the sensations at the aperture of the nostrils as the breath goes in and as the breath goes out. And every time it wavers, right? Oh, I want some cookies. Oh, I want some brownies. Oh, did this person text me? Oh, what's going on? Should I check my phone? You gotta, right? What you'll do is every time that happens, you gently bring it back. You gently bring it back. And what'll happen is as you do that, right? Here's your stream of attention. You're attending to, the nose, right? You're attending to the aperture there. What'll happen is that same thing where first you get really distracted, and then you return. And then you get a slightly less distracted, and then you return. And then you get slightly less distracted. And then what you'll notice is your mind eventually, if you can practice that sustained attention over a long enough time horizon, your mind will be calm, clear, focused. You can engage in life with a greater fluidity and greater capacity to succeed and kind of accomplish your goals. So hopefully this helped. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, this was Charles.